I would like to start by describing the regional drug situation to set the context. Regional drug production in methamphetamine and poppy cultivation continues to set record high. According to the 2012 UN ODC report, which is the latest, heroin and methamphetamine seizures in Southeast Asia increased significantly by 41% and 23% respectively in 2011 when compared to 2010. Drug syndicates therefore continue to carry out large-scale illegal drug production and distribution in our midst. This poses a challenge to the Central Narcotics Bureau, CNB, and our regional partners. My ministry is watching these trends very closely. While local heroin users dropped slightly between 2011 and 2012, methamphetamine seizures have increased more than 3 times, from 14 kg to 51 kg over the same period, with around 8 kg of methamphetamine meant for local market consumption. But mind you, this amount for local market consumption alone can feed the addiction of at least 1,000 drug abusers over 30 days. To answer Mr. Vikram Nair's question on the situation regarding the abuse of synthetic drugs, the key challenge going forward will be methamphetamine or ice abuse. Among new abusers arrested, methamphetamine has replaced heroin as their drug of choice, being the drug abused by 56% of all new drug abusers in 2012. And what's more worrying is that the profile of meth abusers is younger, and most of whom take drugs with no real appreciation of the danger they are putting themselves in. The initial effect of meth abuse is deceivingly harmless. Just this week, a brother of an offender who came to my Meet the People session MPS said his brother who was abusing meth and was being detained at DRC looks normal. Let us be clear about the dangers of methamphetamine. It's a misperception among younger people that it's less addictive and less harmful than heroin. This is not true. Some youth use methamphetamine to lose weight, some to keep up their energy levels. I know a case of a young girl who used methamphetamine to lose weight, and as a result, she almost lost her life. In the short term, methamphetamine abusers will suffer from insomnia, psychosis, and convulsions. Prolonged abuse of methamphetamine leads to long-term health problems such as liver damage, stroke, and eventually death. Due to our zero-tolerance policy on drugs and CNB's rigorous enforcement of the laws, drug addicts are kept off our streets, and the drug problem is not very visible to most Singaporeans. Compared to other countries, the problem may be invisible, but it is no means benign. I want to stress that the drug abuse situation remains challenging. Its long-term destructive effects go beyond the individual, affecting his or her family and eventually the wider community. Our approach has been and remains to address the drug abuse problem holistically. Tough laws and vigorous enforcements coupled with preventive education upstream. Downstream, we seek to provide opportunities for rehabilitation and aftercare in partnership with the community. We will therefore strengthen our existing efforts to prevent drug offending upstream, to stop youth from even thinking about taking drugs. CNB will refresh its Preventive Drug Education or PD efforts, as youth today rely heavily on the internet and social networking sites for information. We will leverage on these platforms to maximize the impact of our outreach and make use of peer advocacy as much as possible. CNB will launch a youth-oriented blog in April, and with the help of young bloggers, we intend to grow a vibrant online anti-drug community with more personal anti-drug messages. It is ultimately, however, the individual's responsibility not to take drugs, and we will not hesitate to take action against any youth who do. Because of the persistence of the problem, we are also increasing our downstream efforts, where we seek to keep people on the right path and provide opportunities for rehabilitation and aftercare in partnership with the community. we will enhance the direct supervision order for new, young, low-risk drug abusers. Currently, they are only required to go for regular urine tests. CMB is working with MSF to introduce a compulsory counseling component to these drug abusers by first quarter this year and will involve their families. For new young drug abusers who are of moderate risk, prisons will establish a Community Rehabilitation Center, or CRC, as a step-down arrangement after a period of detention in the Drug Rehabilitation Center. Once transferred to the CRC, these young offenders will participate in a structured residential component and attend compulsory counseling sessions in the evenings. This will therefore allow them to continue their education or employment in the day to minimize disruption to their daily lives. We expect the CRC operations by end 2013. Mr. Desmond Lee has expressed his concern on the reoffending problem and asked, what will we do to help drug reoffenders break the reoffending cycle and reintegrate back into society? I share his concerns. Repeat offenders continue to account for more than 2/3 of those arrested for drug offenses. As highlighted by Mr. Kumar, about 3,000 of these repeat offenders will be released from long-term imprisonment between 2013 and 2015. Many of these repeat abusers could return to drug abuse or crime, or perhaps even influence others, and especially our youth, to experiment with drugs. Since 1st November 2012, LT offenders with higher risks of reoffending have been placed under an enhanced supervision regime. Apart from regular urine supervision, these LT offenders have been subjected to additional restrictions such as strict curfew hours and electronic monitoring. They are also required to attend counseling and case management by prison counselors. Mr. Hari Kumar also asked for an update on the recidivism rate in 2012. The prison's recidivism rate for 2010 release cohort has dropped to 23.6% from 26.7% for the 2009 release cohort. But even then, there is no room for complacency. Although a lower recidivism rate means fewer ex-offenders are returning to the prisons, many who do are repeat offenders. Repeat offenders account for more than 80% of the prison population and are more likely to reoffend upon their release. I agree with Mr. Desmond Lee that more support needs to be provided to these ex-offenders in the period after their release, as this is when they are most vulnerable. We must help these repeat offenders break the cycle of reoffending and transit from imprisonment to reintegration within the community. To achieve this, we'll amend the Prisons Act in 2013 to introduce a conditional remission system, or CRS. Under CRS, all inmates released at the 2/3 mark of their sentence will be subject to certain conditions during the remission period, something like probation in other countries. Those who breach these conditions will be taken to task. The implementation of the CRS will also allow us to place high-risk ex-inmates on a mandatory aftercare scheme, or MAS. This is part of the broader through care strategy to help inmates in the period prior and after their release. This will be achieved through a structured step-down approach in control and supervision from prisons to the community, with the provision of aftercare support, counseling, and case management upon their release. We want everyone to succeed in their rehabilitation. As part of this through care strategy, we'll develop a halfway house in the Selarang Park complex to provide a structured environment to supervise and rehabilitate high-risk ex-inmates and place in the MAS. This will complement the efforts of our current halfway house partners who will work with moderate to low-risk offenders. More details will be released in due course. The government will continue to commit resources and work with the community to provide opportunities for ex-offenders to rehabilitate and reintegrate back into society. However, it's ultimately the responsibility of the individual ex-offender not to reoffend. Those who break the law will be called to account. Mr. Chairman, in Malay.
In 2012, the number of Malay drug addicts who were arrested increased by 10% from 1,600 in 2011 to 1,760 in 2012. This number makes up half of the 3,480 drug addicts arrested in 2012. Although this is a good improvement compared to the mid-90s, the number of new Malay drug addicts have drawn down slightly from 580 in 2011 to 560 in 2012. Even so, it is still a cause for concern because new addicts make up 30% of the total number of drug addicts arrested. The majority of new young addicts abuse methamphetamine or ice. They view drug taking with their friends as a fun activity and are unaware of its detrimental effects. This is something to be concerned about. Our approach to combat drug abuse for the government is very comprehensive. It has preventive steps through education, strict laws and effective enforcement, as well as suitable rehabilitation and advanced care that are suitable and are implemented with the community's cooperation. Family and the community plays an important role. A strong bond between parents and their child, as well as a forgiving nature and love, can help a young offender to return to the right path. I have seen with my own eyes how a family that gives a second chance to a young offender manages to leave a positive effect on that young offender. The community also plays an important role in our effort to combat drug abuse. We will continue to work with Mendaki and have marshaled the efforts with other Malay Muslim organizations like Jamia and Petapis and also the FIM. They have think of other ways to assist the offenders and their families. As family and the community play a role to help ex-offenders, the offenders must also be responsible for themselves and work hard to lead a drug-free life.
We agree, Ms. Tin Pei Ling, with the support of the offenders, family, volunteers and community partnerships play a community critical role in ensuring that rehabilitation and reintegration are successful. The Community Outreach Project, or COP, was a key initiative launched in September 2010. It involves the community helping offenders' family link up with the relevant government agencies for social assistance and support in other areas. Since then, the COP has grown tremendously from a small pilot with just 7 grassroots initially to 44 divisions of December 2012. More than 390 volunteers have been trained to reach out to over 780 families. Excuse me. Let me share how the COP has helped the family of an incarcerated offender. The wife was thrown into disarray when her husband was arrested for drug offenses. The family sold their previous flat due to mortgage loan arrears. The sales proceeds were used to rent a unit and to start a business, but that business failed. At that point, she had almost no saving, was about to lose her shelter, and had 4 children to take care of. The COP members stepped in. They helped her through her issues one by one. First, she was referred to a family service center for counseling sessions to help her cope with her husband's imprisonment. Arrangements were also made with the CDC to provide her with ComCare assistance. Help was also given for her to sign up for courses to acquire employment skills so that she could find work more easily. Mind you, she has never worked in all her life. To meet her accommodation needs, they helped her search for transitional shelters for her and her children while working with HDB to give her priority for a rental unit. She was eventually offered a rental unit. She now has a job and is very grateful for the help rendered. Given the success of the COP, We will reach out to even more divisions in 2013 and consolidate the excellent work done by existing divisions. This will benefit even more families and especially their children. We are also mindful that some offenders have little or no family support. Hence, we have a separate program for them. The Community Befriending Project pairs a volunteer befriender with an offender to provide positive peer support and role modeling. The CBP has grown from 40 volunteer befrienders in 2010 to about 90 befrienders in 2012 and benefited about 180 offenders. These too will be expanded in 2013. Currently, we have a strong core of volunteers with a passion to serve. More than 1,300 dedicated volunteers serve in our prison in 2012. In 2013, we will develop a training and development framework to systematically equip volunteers and community partners with core competencies, knowledge, and skills to better support the rehabilitation of our offenders. This includes skills in counseling and casework. Mr. Christopher D'Souza talked about giving second chances to ex-offenders and asked what the ministry is doing to match ex-offenders with jobs after their release. Over the years, the Yellow Ribbon Project has helped to increase acceptance of ex-offenders in the community. We agree with Mr. Christopher D'Souza that gainfully employed ex-offenders are less likely to reoffend. SCORE prepares offenders for employment by helping them acquire market-relevant skills, such as culinary skills and experience in logistics operations before their release. Offenders receive nationally accredited training, which is aligned with WDA's Workforce Skills Qualification Framework. This gives employers the assurance that offenders are qualified and well-trained. Working closely with the private sector, SCORE also provides practical experience for offenders in its various workshops within prisons, which includes a large laundry and bakery. SCORE also conducts job suitability assessments for offenders to match them with suitable jobs. In 2012, SCORE helped more than 1,420 offenders secure employment before their release. SCORE will also continue to engage offenders and employers to better understand their job needs. In response to Mr. D'Souza too, to recognize the support and contributions of employers, SCORE organizes an annual appreciation award ceremony and gives out the Hope Award to employers that have gone the extra mile. One of these awardees is Revenue Valley Private Limited, which manages homegrown restaurants like Manhattan Fish Market. Over the years, Revenue Valley Private Limited has hired more than 150 ex-offenders and offers fair remuneration and career advancements for deserving ex-offenders. Ex-offenders who perform well have been promoted to leadership positions, with some assuming responsibility in managing their outlets. They have also implemented a buddy system to help newly hired ex-offenders to adjust to their working environment and culture, thereby easing offenders' transition to working life. We are indeed very grateful for all the volunteers who have stepped forward to help offenders and their families. Mr. Eddie Ong, a COP volunteer from Teck Ghee Division, told me that it was a humbling experience to witness the state of needy households and how they coped with the sudden incarceration of a loved one. He recalled the example of a 72-year-old mother whose daughter was incarcerated. The mother was beset by health and financial problems. Volunteers arranged for her to use televisit facilities to speak to her daughter and overcome her traveling difficulties. I would like to thank all our dedicated volunteers for their invaluable contributions. Let me end with where I began. The drug challenge remains serious. We'll continue with the approach of robust laws, effective enforcement, and community partnerships to address this issue. In particular, I would like to thank all our community partners who have contributed their time and energy. I hope that more will step forward and join us in this endeavor. Let's continue to work together to keep Singapore safe and secure. Thank you.
It's been a long day and it's 23 to 8. But having said that, we do have time for clarifications. Are there any members who have clarifications? Looks like the answers are very comprehensive. That being the case, Mr. Hui Kumar, would you like to withdraw your amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank DPM, Mr. Iswaran, and SMS Masagos for their responses. I hope SMS Masagos recovers quickly. One thing that stands out for me in all the questions asked and the speeches made is the absence of any suggestion that the ministry's efforts have been lacking or left wanting in any way. I think that speaks volumes of the good work done by the ministry and its officers. In the circumstances, it would be entirely remiss of me to ask for its budget to be reduced by any amount. For that reason, I beg leave to withdraw my amendment.
Is the honourable member given leave to withdraw the amendment? I think leave of the majority is given. The amendment is withdrawn. The question is that the sum of $3,511,799,000 for Head P stand part of the main estimates. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is that the sum of $379,826,000 for Head P stand part of the development estimates. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. DPM.
Sir, may I seek your consent to move that progress be reported now and leave be asked to sit again tomorrow?
I give my consent. DPM.
Sir, I beg to move that progress be reported now and leave be asked to sit again tomorrow.
The question is that progress be reported now and leave be asked to sit again tomorrow. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. DPM. DPM.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I beg to report that the Committee of Supply has made progress on the estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2013-2014 and ask leave to sit again tomorrow.
So be it. Leader of the House, Dr. Ng.
Deputy Speaker, I beg the Parliament be now adjourned.
The question is that Parliament do now adjourn. As many as are of their opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order, order.